Robert Spencer here for Jihad Watch, a program of the David Horowitz Freedom Center and for the Center for Security Policy. July 2016 was in Germany a month of jihad terror attacks committed by Muslim migrants. It was a hint of what all of Europe will be like in the near future. On July 18th, a teenage Muslim refugee hacked at passengers on a train in Würzburg with an axe, wounding 5. On July 22nd, a Muslim teenager whose parents were migrants from Iran murdered 9 people in Munich. On July 24th, a Muslim refugee from Syria killed a woman with a machete and wounded 5 other people. That same day, another Muslim refugee from Syria blew himself up outside a bar in Ansbach, wounding 15 people. The events unfolded in the most deadly of these attacks, the one in Munich, in predictable fashion. A young Iranian Muslim opened fire at a shopping mall in Munich, with an eyewitness saying that he was screaming Allahu Akbar, and initial mainstream media reports were that the gunman was a right-wing extremist who was lashing out on the 5th anniversary of the massacre perpetrated by Norwegian madman Anders Breivik, while screaming out his hatred for foreigners. As it happened, his hatred for foreigners was not something he had screamed out at all. It was someone else screaming his hatred for foreigners at the jihad murderer, not the other way around. But once again, the lie had gotten halfway around the world before the truth had a chance to put on its shoes. And the same old comedy, the familiar one that plays out every week now in modern, multicultural Europe and North America, duly played out again to an increasingly bored and indifferent crowd. Munich Police Chief Hubertus André informed the world that the young jihadi had no known links to jihad terror groups and added, "The motive or explanation for this crime is completely unclear." Unclear? Really? What is it about Allahu Akbar and the gunning down of innocent civilians that you don't understand, Herr André? And the answer, of course, is everything. Hubertus André and Angela Merkel and Theresa May and Manuel Valls, John Kerry and Barack Obama, and every last one of the other Western leaders are resolutely and determinedly ignorant about what it means when a young Iranian Muslim screaming Allahu Akbar opens fire in a shopping mall. What, after all, could it possibly mean? This young man must have come from a troubled home, right? He must have grown up in poverty and been denied access to all sorts of economic opportunities that were open to native Germans of his age, right? He must have been radicalized on the internet by shadowy forces that somehow possess the magic power to turn benign, peaceful Muslims who are a benefit and asset to every Western nation into misunderstanders of their own religion, who suddenly and inexplicably discard the peaceful Islamic teachings they have imbibed from youth in their Western mosques in favor of a twisted and hijacked version of their religion that leads them to think that treason and mass murder are not only commendable but blessed by the Almighty. Isn't that the case? The Munich shooter's motive is completely unclear because we don't yet know if he was teased in school or on the job, or if he had trouble getting a job in the first place, or if he had psychological problems, or if he was a brooding loner who always left his moderate Muslim friends disquieted. The only thing we do know is that he couldn't possibly have been motivated by a religion that exhorts its adherents to slay them wherever you find them, as the Quran tells Muslims to do in 3 different passages. Oh no, none of that is true. And one wonders if even the European and North American political and media elites even believe their own nonsense anymore. The Munich mass murderer screamed Allahu Akbar. He was motivated by Islam, pure and simple, by its teachings of warfare against unbelievers and the necessity to subjugate them. His war cry of Allahu Akbar demonstrates that. In fact, that cry is revered by jihadis for its power to strike terror in the hearts of the enemies of Allah, as the Quran also directs Muslims to do. The Islamic State's repeated calls for the mass murder of civilians in Western countries also demonstrate that. Hubertus André and Angela Merkel and Theresa May and Manuel Valls and John Kerry and Barack Obama and every last one of the other Western leaders persist in pretending that incidents such as the mass murder in Munich recently and the mass murders in Nice, Orlando, Brussels, Paris, San Bernardino, Chattanooga, and elsewhere also recently are all separate, discrete criminal acts, unrelated to one another, and all requiring extensive investigation to determine the motives of the perpetrators. That proposition is not only false, it's a big lie, a la Joseph Goebbels. These are not criminal acts. These are not the acts of the psychopathic or the disenfranchised. These are acts of war, battles in a larger war that has been going on for 1,400 years and is picking up speed in our own age, courtesy of our willfully myopic and feckless leaders. Unless and until Western authorities begin to treat each of these incidents as part of a larger war, they will continue to misdiagnose the problem and apply the wrong solutions. And that is the one thing they are certain to do. And so there will be many, many more Munichs, followed by the next flurry of predictable denials and obfuscations. What is it going to take to get leaders who are in touch with reality? Seriously, is that too much to ask? I'm Robert Spencer.